Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be going through the Benchmade 2025 catalog, talking about some new variants of current models and some new models to be released. Please keep in mind this is all tentative. I saw this on a post on Reddit. I'm sure it's been circulating in other places. This is supposed to be the official release catalog, and it either got leaked or got sent out to a dealer early, and that's kind of how it got out. All subject to change, obviously, before 2025. I, again, have no way to prove whether or not this is real. However, same sort of deal happened last year before the water series got announced and all the other knives got announced, and it all turned out to be mostly correct. So we'll just stick with it here and roll with it, and I'll talk through all these different, again, variants and models. And I'm going to post all of these pictures that you'll see on here on Twitter, which I will link below. I'll link it directly to the post so you can go look at them if you want yourself. Zoom in, check them out. That way you don't have to pause and keep waiting for the video to move on and such. But we'll continue here. We'll start out with the variants of current production models, and then we'll get into some of the new stuff towards the end, and then we'll talk about the gold class. And then we will finish off with the schedule of release, or at least the tentative schedule of release. So we'll start out with some new bug outs. We have a bunch of new bug outs coming out. We have one that is just like this stock blue that is going to be aluminum in S90V. I've been saying for a long time I thought that they were going to do this, but I think Benchmade is taking the Apple approach, is what I call it, where they know exactly what they're going to do and they just slowly release features over time to milk as much money as possible from the market. So smart business strategy, just pretty frustrating for the end consumer, especially when they are this expensive and overpriced, in my opinion. That one is going to run you, same as the current production aluminum bug out, probably about $288 to $290. The way that you calculate the MAP, or minimum advertised price, for all of these that you will see today is by taking 10% off the listed MSRP. That's how they calculate it. That's how most retailers will sell it. And if you're ever wondering why, again, they differ from the MSRPs on the website, now you know. We're also going to see a mini bug out that is going to be in green aluminum, also S90V steel. Same deal, just stock bug out with aluminum scales. These do not look to be milled like the current aluminum production bug out. So something a little different there. Another thing to note is that current one right now that's silver with the red accents is M390 steel. These will both be S90V steel. Finally, with the bug out variants, we also have an aluminum and Ricklite onlay on the last one, which resembles a Crooked River or a 940 that's kind of custom, or the PSK that was recently released. So I think it's a pretty cool design. I think it's nice to see that on the outside of a knife. It's something different, mixes it up a little. I actually think it looks really nice, the red and gray. I think it's a really cool look. However, it's gonna be dramatically increased in price to $340, making it the most expensive bug out that will be on the market, at least at that time. Still pretty cool. Not for me, just because of the price, but I think that will do pretty well. It's a pretty creative design. Next, we're going to have some new 940s. We're going to have a full-size and a mini, both with the same blue denim style micarta that we saw on the new Dacian. And I think that is actually really, really nice. However, my question would be, how well will that hold up? Toughness-wise, I know micarta is generally not as strong as aluminum, especially if it's not lined. So will we see some new liners in there? Who knows? I know on Cutting Board Reviews, which is I really like watching his channel. He does a lot of great analysis and explanation and takes apart knives, and not everybody has. When he took apart his Dacian, it had a system kind of where the micarta, which was really, really thin, where they milled out space to screw it in. When he unscrewed that, he basically found that the micarta was what was holding the screws in place. And it would be very easy to kind of just snap that, making it not super durable. So hopefully they kind of recognize that micarta, when it's not lined or not very thick, might not be as strong as aluminum or some of the other materials, carbon fiber and stuff that they use. So we'll see how that goes. Both of those are going to be in MagnaCut. There is no price announced for those yet. I'm sure they will be pricey. My guess would be in the $300 range, similar to the new 940s that just came out that are MagnaCut in that burnt brass. So Pretty cool though, still, just something different. I'm guessing that they'll probably do the same with Bugouts soon here. Who knows? I don't know. I also I don't think you can see in the pictures. I wonder if they're going to be a full liner on the back or if they're going to have barrel spacers for the micarta. So that'll be just something to keep an eye out for. I don't think anybody knows yet except for Benchmade. But that should do it for the 940 right now. We also are going to have a bunch of new bailouts. We're going to have a bailout that is just the stock Grivery with S30V steel. So it's literally just the exact same thing as a Bugout, just different blade shape and different color. There also is currently a bailout that is in production with 3V steel that's in Grivery. And that's going to be the same price as this one that has S30V steel that's coming out. So they're both going to be about 180 bucks. I don't know how they... I don't have an explanation for that. Some people like 3V steel, some people like S30V steel, some people like myself don't really care that much about the steel, but those are both crazy prices anyways, so I'm not really trying to think too much about how they're deciding to price these, to be honest with you. But it'll be cool. They're going to have, so maybe we'll see a bunch of different bailout color variants too coming out, like the Bugout. Who knows? We also are going to have, like I mentioned before, that brass burnt copper color for the 940 in MagnaCut. We're going to have that same variant come out in the bailout shape. So that'll be pretty cool. I like that color wave. I think it's really nice. It is very pricey, but it is a cool color wave. And again, that washed MagnaCut looks really, really nice on the blade. So that's going to be about 290 bucks. Again, pretty pricey, but it's a cool design. I'm not justifying on any of these prices here too. I can already see it coming in the comments. I'm not trying to justify these prices. I'm just simply saying I think some of the designs are cool. I think it's pretty cool. I absolutely agree with you. I'm not shilling for Benchmade or saying that their pricing is justified. I just want to throw that out there before we continue on with a lot of these that get up there in price. So the next two models of the bailout are going to be in carbon fiber and S90V steel. They're going to be the same, but they're going to have different accents on the lock bar, on the barrel spacers, on the back spacer and stuff. So a little bit different there. Both going to be really, really expensive at 360 bucks. It is nice to see Benchmade doing carbon fiber though in some other models. I don't think they'd use it a whole lot. I know the Taggedout, the Mini Adamas has shredded carbon fiber, and the Bugout are the big ones, but I don't think they have it in a ton of other ones. So it'll be cool to see that and see how it turns out. I like the bailout. I sold mine just because it wasn't super comfortable in the hand, but I think it is a cool design. I think it looks nice, but is it that comfortable to use? I don't know. Some people love it though. So it's for some people, not really for me. Next up, we have with the Water series, we have a new color wave for the Adira and Mini Adira. We have that in a very dark gray, almost black looking Grivery, so just plastic, with a blue coated MagnaCut blade, which is a really, really cool design, I think. I really like the way that looks. I was not a huge fan of the Water series when it came out. I went to go look at them. I was going to get one as a gift for a buddy, but I wasn't really any wow factor at all. To me, it felt like an Adamas with plastic scales. So kind of a combination between the Adamas and Bugout, but I know a lot of people love them. They seem to be flying off the shelves at Cabela's. I talked to the guy there and he said that they cannot keep any of the Water series in stock. So that is my gauge on, on how they're selling there. So I'm sure this color wave will do really, really well. They're also planning to release the Water folders and the Intersect, which is that small 2-inch fixed blade with serrations. So those will all be new models technically with serrations. If you're using it in water, in and around water, I'm sure the serrations make sense. So I'm not sure why they didn't do that the first time around. But again, that goes back to my theory of slowly dripping out the product and taking up as much market share as possible. We're also going to have in the Hunt series some new stuff. The Crooked River in a mini and full sized, and those are going to be micarta with aluminum. So something a little bit different with the Crooked River. I know those are really, really popular among collectors. I know a lot of people like those. There's some really, really nice ones out there, really cool looking ones that a lot of people buy and build and collect. So I'm sure those will be really popular. I know that the current ones are right now with the wood. They're a little bit big for me. I never really liked them, but again, I know they're really popular. So those, I'm almost certain will run you a pretty penny. I would guess in the 400s with those because they're going to be in MagnaCut steel, which will also make them even more popular to the people who love MagnaCut. So definitely a cool variant coming out. That will probably be one of the more popular ones if I had to guess, but I don't know. We'll see when it happens. Staying in the hunt line, the tagged out that I misspoke before, the tagged out will have new variants of the Grivery style one. So right now they have the Grivery tagged out, the G10 one, and the carbon fiber one. The Grivery and carbon fiber have holes to open, and the G10 one has thumb studs. So they're going to basically remake the Grivery one just with thumb studs. Same steel, CPM 154, just a different color wave in tan and green Grivery. So that's kind of cool. I don't know why they didn't, again, I don't know why they didn't do that before. The holes on those kind of suck. I got to hold one of those in a store and it totally put me off buying. But the tagged out is a pretty nice model. I have one. I don't use it a whole lot. Just a little bit thin for me, but I know a lot of people really like those. The mini tagged out also recently came out, so I don't know how well those are doing, but the tagged out is a part of the out line, the bug out, shootout, bailout, so it will succeed. I'm sure of it. One thing to note on the pictures of these from the catalog, it is listed that the tagged out that will be coming out is 3.04 inches, I think it says. And that is the same size as the mini tagged out. So could be a typo. It probably is a typo. The title, the fact that they're just called the tagged out, and the model numbers lead me to believe that it is probably just a typo and they will be full-size tagged outs coming out versus the minis. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Again, this is all tentative. I'm sure there's a typo or two in there. This is probably one of them. So keep an eye on that if you're really, really hoping for a mini tagged out for some reason. I don't know how many people are, but just keep an eye out for that. Another one that we have that's going to be a variant is the PSK in a dark gray and Grivery. So the PSK right now came out with MagnaCut, carbon fiber, and G10. So MagnaCut in both models. And they were really, really pricey for an axis assist. Both 400 plus, I think one was 405, the other was 450 if I'm remembering right. This was going to be a cheaper handle material, so hopefully that will bring the price down a little bit. It's going to be LMAX steel, not MagnaCut, so something a little bit different as well. I really like the design of the PSK. I just wish it was not so absurdly expensive, because that is a Benchmade that I would certainly be interested in. Less the axis lock. I think you can de-assist it, so that's probably what I would do, but very, very, very pricey for, again, just plastic scales and an assisted opening. So hopefully that brings some more attention to the PSK line. I have no idea if it will, but that would be my guess, is they're trying to reel that back in a little bit and make it more popular to the average consumer. We also have some Barrages coming out. So we had the mini Barrage in that canyon blue Ricklite that I don't think did very well. Again, my gauge for how well Benchmade models are doing is whether or not they're still in stock after they come out. So I've seen a lot of those blue Barrages everywhere. I don't think anybody's buying them. Maybe people are, but again, I think it's a very niche model for Benchmade, is the Barrage line, just because it's axis assisted and it's very, very pricey. So they're coming out with a full-size blue one and a full-sized red and mini red, all in S30V, all going to be around that $290, $300 price point. Very, very expensive, again, for a assisted opening that's not really a super durable handle material. So keep that in mind. I don't know how many people really like the Barrage. I think the real cheap ones that are just plastic handles do fairly well, just because they're on the cheaper side for a Benchmade, around 180 bucks, which is crazy. But I think they do well, so maybe those will attract a little bit of attention. Maybe not, who knows. And then I think the final variant that we have is going to be the 710. And that is going to be a black aluminum with an uncoated S90V blade that's also going to retail for the same as the current production 710, which is $405. So I don't really know why they didn't release the black and uncoated blade one with the other 710s and then come back out and release this silver and FDE one that's currently in production now and kind of flip them, because that seems like it would make more sense to me. The cooler one is the one with the FDE coated blade, but who knows? I'm sure it'll do well. I know the 710 is a really popular one. I know those models sold pretty fast, so It is a very, very expensive knife, and it is pretty big and bulky. So it also has, that's the one other thing I forgot too, it has the flat Omega springs. I'm trying to think of what else to talk about with that, but that's really all I got with that. Nothing too crazy with that. I didn't write all this stuff down, so I'm trying to remember a lot of this. I wrote the models down to talk about, but I cannot remember all the stuff that I was reading about. So that's why it's a little slow towards the end here. But that should do it for the new variants of models coming out. Now we will get into the new models, what everybody's excited about. And there is some pretty cool stuff in here. So to start off, we'll talk about the mini Bedlam. And the full-size Bedlam was a really popular model with Benchmade for a very long time. And they recently discontinued it, I think probably, I don't know, months or years ago. And people have been begging them to bring it back, at least from what I've read online. So they're finally bringing it back just as a mini version. You're gonna have 2 models in G10 in different colors, and then you're gonna have a marbled carbon fiber model. All of them, all 3 in S90V steel. The 2 G10 ones are going to be $315, and the marbled carbon fiber is going to be $405. I gotta say, I think the Coyote G10 one, I think they called it shredded G10 overlay or something in brown. I think that one looks pretty cool. I'm also sure that the marbled carbon fiber version of that will do really well. The mini Adamas shredded carbon fiber, and I don't know if that's shredded or marbled actually, so maybe it's different. But Benchmade generally does a good job with their carbon fiber, especially when it's on a pretty looking design. So I think that'll be a really, really, really popular model. Again, the Bedlam was super popular. I have no reason to believe that that one wouldn't be popular. So that would be my guess with that. We also have so we have 2 new numbered models. We have the 491, which is gonna be a pretty small flipper. It's going to be 2.8 inches, I think, on the blade, maybe less than that. But I remember thinking it's about the same size as a mini Bugout. So pretty cool there. Another small model from Benchmade. Not really something that interests me because it's so small, but I'm glad to see that they're bringing flippers back. It resembles the Vector and Arcane designs of Benchmade, which were pretty popular, I think. But those were assisted flipper openings. So this one is not going to be assisted, which is pretty nice. It's also going to be 20 CV steel. They have not released a price for those yet. Who knows what those could be. That could go up in there anywhere. I have no idea. But I would hope that those do well because I really like the flipper design. I know a lot of people hate it. That's just what I have used. That was my first pocket knife, was a flipper. So I prefer the flipper style over the thumb studs, but I think I'm in the minority on that. We're also going to have the 315, which is going to be a slip joint model. And on the pictures, there is no nail neck for you to open it. So I don't know how you open it, whether you just pull it or there's gonna be something on the back, maybe a nail neck on the back or something, but it looks pretty sleek. It's aluminum and magna cut, so it's going to be extremely expensive from Benchmade, but it is a nice looking design. It's a little bit modern of a design for a slip joint knife. Typically, if I'm carrying a slip joint, it's just going to be, I have a weekender that I got really cheap, but if I'm carrying a slip joint, most of the time, it's probably just gonna be a case knife. I love my case knives, and they're a fraction of the cost of Benchmade slip joints. So I'm sure that's probably more of a collector's thing, but who knows? It could surprise everybody and do well. I'm guessing it's not, but kind of interesting to have aluminum on a slip joint. So who knows? Finally, I think this is the last big model before the gold class. The model that everybody is, I'm sure, going to be talking about is the fixed Bugout. So they are doing a fixed version of the Bugout. It is going to have Grivery handles on it. And it looks just like a Bugout. They're gonna have 2 initial colors that are released with it. They're gonna have the stock blue that the Bugout has, and they're also gonna have that, I think they call it Ranger Green with the coated blade, the darker coated blade. So it looks exactly like the 2 current production Bugout models, and they're both going to be in S30V, so it literally is just a Bugout and they made it fixed. It looks almost the same. The handle design is the same and everything, so that'll be really, really cool to see how that holds up. I'm excited to see how a lot of people test that, what they do with it. I probably will not get one for a long time unless I can get a really good deal on one, but that is probably going to be the most popular model that sells in this whole catalog. That would be my guess, the fixed Bugout. So that's pretty cool that they're bringing that. People have been asking for that for a very, very, very long time, I think, and I think it'll be pretty cool to see. I hope that they change up the sheath from the Dacian. I don't know if they will. That one, that sheath, I think rattled a lot for a lot of people, and it felt pretty cheap, at least upon watching a lot of the reviews that I did. So who knows? And we're also, you know, just waiting to see if the very thin blade stock of this holds up as a fixed blade. I don't know if it will. My kind of theories with that would be, I'm just thinking about like tip testing it. When you're stabbing the tip in with this bug out, I would imagine these handle flex helps out a little bit. So when it's a fixed blade, that might change some things. That might not. I could be completely overthinking it, but who knows? And finally, we are going to have the gold class mini Barrage in a purple Fatcarbon, which looks really, really cool. The picture is a pretty bad quality, but it looks really, really cool, that purple in the Fatcarbon. I don't know why they did the mini Barrage. I don't think it's that popular of a model, but still really, really cool. That's gonna be $450 in S90V steel. I know the Immunity Gold Class didn't do that well. I know the Mini Osborne Gold Class didn't do that well just because they're so expensive, and I don't think that they were that popular to begin with, but still looks pretty cool. Maybe they'll bring the Fatcarbon to some production models. Two things that I did forget to mention. The first is I forgot to mention with the new models, the blacked out Dacian with a black blade, black handle, and black sheath. Just totally skipped over that, so my bad on that. The Dacian I know is Magna Cut, and I think this one will still be Magna Cut. And I know cutting board reviews just snap the tip off his, so beware when you're buying Benchmade Magna Cut, specifically on the Dacian. I'll link that video below as well, so you can go watch that and see for yourself. Kind of alarming, but again, talking about the fixed bug out and the Dacian sheath made me think of that, and I realized I skipped over it. And next, in the Benchmade custom shop, if that is your thing, they're doing Fatcarbon on 940s, which looks really, really cool. The mini Barrage and Fatcarbon made me think of that. So just announcement there, if you are into Benchmade customs and you spend that kind of money and you just don't like money and you want to get rid of it, go get yourself a Fatcarbon 940. They have a bunch of different colors that are really, really, really cool. I mean, they're genuinely some of the coolest handles that I've ever seen on a knife. I'm not shilling for Benchmade when I say that. Again, I feel like I've been bashing them this whole video, but I think that's really, really, really cool. So check those out. Again, I'm gonna link all these pictures below here before we get into the schedule, just to remind you. I'll link it to the Twitter post so you can just scroll through and look at all of them. If there's any questions that you have, let me know. But now I printed off the schedule, so let me read it here. It looks like January, we're going to have that gold class Barrage. February is going to be one of the Bailout models released. And it looks like also on the schedule, they didn't include this in the catalog. It looks like an Ultim Freak or Mini Freak. Based on the number, I think it's a Mini Freak. But I'll put a picture of that here so you can see it. But they did not include that in the catalog. In March, we're going to have the Barrages launch. We're going to have the bug out with that aluminum and Ricklite overlay. And we're gonna have all of the mini Bedlams launch. So pretty early in 2025. In April, we're gonna have some Meat Crafter variants that I didn't bother to talk about. And then we're also gonna have those two new bug out and mini bug out, the aluminum bug outs. In May, we're going to have all of the water series. So kind of the beginning of summer, right before we get into the second season of Benchmade releases. Those are gonna be, again, the black and blue folding knives for the waterline and the serrated knives. In July, we're going to have another Bailout and then another mystery Bailout that's kind of grayed out, so we don't know what that is yet. We're going to have the mini Crooked River and Crooked River, and we're going to have the blacked out Dacian. In August, we're going to have the 710, that is the just black and uncoated. We're going to have the 940 Osborne in micarta, and the Osborne and Mini Osborne in micarta and Magna Cut. We're gonna have that new 491 flipper, so towards the end of summer, in both color waves. We're going to have, in September, it looks like the fixed bug out is coming in both color variants. We're going to have the PSK and the mini Taggedouts in September as well. And finally, to round out the calendar in October, we're going to get rid of the last 2 Bailout models that haven't launched yet and the 2 slip joints of the 315. So that is what, again, the tentative calendar is saying. All subject to change. This could all be just completely wrong. I doubt it is, but just again, to reiterate that. The pictures on here that you see, again, will be linked in the Twitter post below. Go check out on Twitter or X the knife deals community. I'll link that below as well. I post sales that I see for all kinds of knives, generally the stuff that I'm looking at, but I try to do a bunch of stuff that everybody can see. So there's some good deals on there that you can go take a look at. I think that should be it. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on the new catalog. I know a lot of people have had a lot of things to say about Benchmade in some of my previous videos. So we'll see what the reaction is to this, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's some cool stuff coming out. It's a lot of just repeated designs and different materials. So not super exciting there, but the fixed Bugout I know is going to be pretty cool, and the Bedlam, it'll be cool to see that make a comeback. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks to those of you who subscribed. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. If there's anything that I can do to help you out, just message me on Twitter or X, as some people have asked about fake knives and stuff. Just message me on there. I'm happy to help. If you have any other questions, comment them below. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see from the channel, let me know. But again, as always, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and stay tuned for the next video.